Good morning. I'm so excited and I just can't hide it. Good morning, everyone. Wonderful to see you. How are you today? Let's see, who do we have? I see Babel. I see Sarah. Welcome in. Vante, welcome in. Nori. Shmi, welcome in. It's good to see everyone. How are you today? Let's see here. I need to. Let's see. I'll swap over to my canvas so you can see what I've got set up here. I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to work on today. And it'll make sense once you see it. I have a couple different sketches on there, including the one in the thumbnail. I'm not sure which one I'm going to work on just yet. I'm spoiled for choice. Happy birthday. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. It is indeed my birthday week. Well, I guess technically last week was my birthday week, depending on when you start your week. My birthday was on the 14th, though, so thank you very much. I was not casually, but not casually at all, dropping hints to my family that I really wanted them to get me an espresso machine for my birthday. And they did. So this morning I went to the store and I got some fresh coffee beans and some milk and stuff. Milk is not usually something that I keep in my fridge, so I had to deliberately go out and get some. But I made myself a little latte this morning, so cheers. I will probably make some pour over as well, just because that is my normal. I don't usually have milk in my coffee. I usually have my coffee black. But I am a beginner. I'm learning how to pull a good shot of espresso, and eventually I will hopefully be able to pull a shot that is well pulled enough that I can just drink that, and I don't need to add milk to it. But I'm a beginner, so right now my shots aren't perfect. They're still good. They're like it's good coffee and it's a good espresso machine, so it's gonna be good. But it's not perfect yet. So, but let's see here. I have too many electronics and not enough cables. Let me see what I've got here. I hope you like the fan art. I absolutely love the fan art, and I'm going to show it to everybody, so sit tight, because I have it ready to go. I need to... Oh, I guess I could just pull it up on my side. I can probably just do that. Because we're all going to look at it, and we're all going to say thank you, Nori. And actually, I think it was... No, was it the other day? Would it be 2 days ago or yesterday? I think it might have been 2 days. Whatever it was. One of my readers over on Instagram there's like a little prompts going around. I don't remember where the prompt itself came from, but the whole concept of the prompt was that they were like, these are my favorite, like some of my favorite reads, and they included immolation next to like some very big names and some very very popular books, and I was deeply flattered by that. But before that, we've got some fan art to look at. Let me pull this up here. Feast your eyes. Look at this. It's gorgeous. I've been reading Jane Eyre today. I have a really, really beautiful copy of Jane Eyre that is like I should try to get a photo of it. It's like a black leather with like a gold engraving on it. It's a really lovely book, and I got it for like $2 at a charity shop. Wonderful find. But look at this. Look at this. Isn't it beautiful? I I love paper, man. I love traditional art. I love the use of paper here. It's just chef kiss. It's so good. It adds such a charm. I love stationery. I love paper, and the way that it is used here is just beautiful. And I just num 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 num. I eat it up. It's delicious. Thank you so much. Isn't it wonderful? Happy for your beginner barista adventures. Thank you. But yes, I have a grinder and I have the espresso machine. So I've got a fully upgraded setup because I graduated from boring coffee information. Boring coffee information for you. The grinder is in a lot of ways more important than the espresso machine itself. The grinder is really what will dictate how much you're able to get out of your coffee. And I got finally a nice grinder. It's not like a top of the line grinder or anything, but it's a good grinder. It has burrs rather than a blade, and so I graduated from a blade grinder to a burr grinder, which means that even as I make some pour over, which I might do, I will spare you. I will spare you Dia makes coffee ASMR this morning because the grinder is quite loud. It's a big old. It's not that big, but compared to my little blade grinder, it's a big behemoth of a machine. And it's not particularly pleasant to listen to. If you've ever been in a coffee shop and you hear them grinding the coffee, it's that kind of noise. But anyway, I'm very excited to try pour over with that grinder. So that'll be exciting. I mean, me yapping about coffee, but still. I want to send you a story fanfic that I wrote. I'll be very excited to see it. Read it. Look at it. Me in my Victorian dress have to say bye-bye. Well, thank you so much for stopping by, Sarah. I hope you have a wonderful time, whatever it is that you're getting up to today. The one I sent you, I like the one I sent you on Insta better. Did you message me on Insta? Because my Instagram has been giving me trouble. I say this, my multiple accounts on Instagram have been giving me trouble. I will open up DMs and I just won't see whatever the newest... Is this an issue that you guys are having as well? Because I know I have multiple accounts on Instagram, and one of my friends on a different account, I technically have 3 accounts, two of them are whatever. But I have like a hobby account and then I have like my art account, right? And on my hobby account, I was opening a DM because I could see the notification. It said that like so-and-so sent you a message. I'm like, oh, cool. And so I click on the notification and I go to the DM and the DM is just empty. There's no updated message in there. So sometimes it's just not showing me messages. So I apologize if I take longer to get back to you because that's something that I've had popping up. A friend on my hobby account said that they have the same error. I don't know if my phone is just old or, I mean, it is old, but I will notice that DMs disappear and it can sometimes take a full day for them to come through. So let me see if they're working. I'll send you a test message, please. You were mad at me? No, don't worry. In general, I'm bad at social media. Babel knows this. I'm a certified phone hater. I hate using my phone for things, and Instagram really only likes to work on my phone. I typically tend to use Instagram from my desktop, even though it hates me for doing that. Okay, let's see. I see a test message. Did you send it to... Okay, you sent it to my hobby account. Let's see if this one works. Because I noticed that it does it when we kind of have like an ongoing conversation. It'll just stop updating in the middle of a conversation. Yeah, okay, so this one's working right now. So I can see your message. Maybe it's because I have to switch back and forth between different Instagram accounts. I don't know. Who knows? Because I don't think I have any kind of... Come on, work. All right, hang on. Let me see if I can pull it up on my desktop instead of my phone. Oh wait, no, you did send me. You've done three. No, you've done more than that. Because, oh my gosh, I can't even keep straight. You sent a process pics and then okay. Oh, so if you tag me in it, I can just get it from there if the DMs don't work. Okay, hold on. Yes, because this is the one that you showed me that's based off of the art I did. I remember things sometimes. Yeah, because I was thinking you had done the one that's like your own character, and then because that's the one I commented on where it's like Cyril when the task requires 0 Cyrils. That's the one I was thinking of. But no. Okay, now I remember. Let's see. Tag me. I should be able to. Aha! There we go. Beautiful. I should be able to yoink this if I can just get the link. There we go. Here we go. I will put it. There we go. Oh my god, it's so cute. Look at them. I love paper, man. I love traditional art. I love pens. You're making me want to spend a dangerous amount of money on stationery stuff again. Because I used to love doing paper and journaling and stuff like this, so it's just, I love them so much. Look at them. Also, I gotta say, hang on, let me. Big fan, big fan. I know that it's based off of the art like that I did, but like a beautiful chef kiss, 10 out of 10. It took so much time on the hands. Yeah, hands are hard. Hands are hard, but they're beautiful, and I love it. Okay, bye for real. Okay. Oh, it's raining for you? Well, if you're driving, if you're traveling in the rain, be safe. Be safe out there. All right, let me see. I have to swap my cables real quick. Give me a moment. Because I went to all the trouble, and by trouble I mean I paid $12 for it, but I went to all the trouble of getting a wireless mouse, and it already broke. So I just have to cable it in anyway. So let's see, I'm gonna swap my keyboard and my mouse, and then we can get to drawing. I'm not sure which piece I'm gonna work on. I've got a couple of Barnabas. Her name is Barnabas, by the way. And I will go back over to her in just a second once I've got my keyboard out of the way. I'm gonna make more, don't worry, there'll be more. You can't see me, but I'm doing the evil villain fingers, steepling my fingers thing. Excellent. I'll be very excited to see. I'm freezing, I'm going out with a long dress. A coat? Please take a coat with you? Coat and an umbrella if it's raining? And one of those, oh gosh, what are they called? My sister had one at her wedding. What's a bolero? That's what it's called, a bolero. It's like a coat, but like just for your shoulders and your arms. Okay, I'm going to. Oh gosh, I guess I should. Okay, hang on. Let me. Because I was a fool and I did my usual countdown on Instagram and, well, Instagram. I did my usual countdown. Oh, right. It's telling me that I should be streaming vertically, but I don't want to. So I'll do that later. But anyway, I made the countdown for stream more than 24 hours before it started. So now that it's live, it's not going to be there. So let me... Oh, not a countdown, just a new link. You better spell that name for us. Barnabas. Yes, you got it right. Barnabas. So technically, you would address her as Dame Barnabas, or by her last name, which is Therese. Because she is, well, she's a knight, quote unquote, but she is an officer. She's kind of similar to Domingo in that way, where she's an officer, an Empire officer. She's older than Domingo. I don't know exactly how old she is. I want to say she's maybe upper mid 60s, give or take. She's not retired technically because she is still active service, but she's retired in the sense that she gets a cushy job because if you can kind of tell from the sketches, she lost her arm. So she lost her arm in combat. So the Empire is like, sorry about that. Thanks for your service. Can we interest you in a cushy job where you don't have to see active combat? And she said yes. So let's see here. Links up on YouTube. I'm not sure which... I did a little portrait of her, obviously. Her uniform is not set in stone. I might tweak her uniform. And then obviously she has a wand. She uses a wand as her weapon because she's basically a magic caster as opposed to someone like Domingo, who is... Obviously he can cast magic and he's quite good at it. But he's... I think the term that I use in Volume 1 for him is Spellblade. So he's like a hybrid between a caster and just like being a straight sword fighter. But she has a sword. I'm sure she has one as like a backup weapon, and I'm sure she's trained on how to use one. But that's not her weapon of choice. Let's see here. She's looking sassy, yes. I might have to go soon because I'm sleeping over at my sister's, but she's so slay. Well, thank you so much for stopping by. If you do have to go, I'm glad you could make it. I'm glad we could all fawn over the fan art. And thank you for picking up the ebook. I hope you enjoyed the read. I need to post another reminder that the ebook's available for free for the month of July, but once July's over, it's going to go back to being like, I don't know, $3 or whatever it is. Especially if you already own the book, the free ebook is the updated version of the manuscript, so it has the dramatis personae in the front, and it has a glossary in the rear. So it's slightly different. And there's like a couple of other small things that I changed. I say changed. I tweaked things like typos that I found. Which, in the nicest way possible. And bless his heart that he was willing to work with me on that. When having the audiobook produced, when someone reads it to you, you can hear things, which is part of why part of my writing process is to just have like text to speech, like the what's it called? I don't think they call it a narrator. Whatever it is, but text to speech in the sense of like a screen reader. Gosh, accessibility. That's what they call it, like an accessibility assistant or whatever. Where it's like a computer voice that reads it to you. It sounds horrible. It sounds awful. But I will do that as I'm working through writing, because when you hear something, you're more likely to catch the mistakes versus reading it. Your eyes become blind to the mistakes. So obviously when the audiobook was being produced, I was able to catch a lot of the mistakes. And in the nicest way possible, I'm kind of looking at my editor like, you let a lot of mistakes get through. There was actually a remnant of a previous draft of Volume 1 that had gotten all the way through. I think I did like 6 or 7 rounds of editing, including 2 with my editor. So I'm kind of like, I'm not super thrilled about that, because for the amount of money that I paid you, those mistakes shouldn't have gotten through, but that's okay. That is what it is. They've been fixed now, and thankfully the audiobook narrator was willing to work with me on not having those mistakes stay in the audiobook. So they're corrected for the audiobook and they're corrected on the manuscript. But anyway, there shall be more fan out. You already finished the ebook? Oh my goodness. Well, I hope if you devoured it that fast, that means you liked it. She's lost the right arm. I think it's her left. Yeah, I don't think this is mirrored. Well, okay, so viewer right, but it's her left arm. I don't think it matters. Her arm, I don't think it matters which arm she lost. She lost one of them. It might change. Because nothing is particularly special about which arm she lost. It's not like, I mean, other than I want it to be consistent. But it's not like, oh, she lost her dominant arm and that's like the arm that she casts magic with. Nothing like that. She can cast magic with either hand. It's not like a right-handed or left-handed thing. Let's see here. Let's see. Okay. I might want to. So I should have. I can close these for now, and I will. Let's see. What is this? Because I have a bigger file version of this. Yes, there it is. Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and close this, and we will work on this piece. Okay. It was good. Okay, I don't usually read ebooks, but this was an exception. Well, thank you very much. I'm very happy that you enjoyed it. Searching for typos isn't that easy when you're absorbed in the story. There were little things little typos like certain words that should have been plural but were singular. And when you're the writer, and even when you're the editor, and even when you're a reader, those are the sort of thing that your brain automatically wants to correct, so you might not notice them the first time. Immolation is generally I say immolation. Anything that I write, anything that I write is generally something that I am attempting to make something that you would want to reread, and you can go back and reread it and find little things that you missed the first time, and so on and so forth. I was talking to a friend of mine about chapter 1 in an immolation, and talking to them about how chapter 1 is giving you very specific pieces of information, and they were like, oh yeah, well, I noticed this, and this. And I said, okay, great, but did you notice this other thing? And they're like, ah, crap. So the goal is for people that enjoy rereading, which I enjoy rereading a book, which is why I write in this style. There's little bits and pieces of information that you're meant to, it's there, but like it's one of those things that you really more notice or be more likely to notice on a reread. And when you reread something, you're also more likely to notice the mistakes. Like, you're probably more interested in the story the first time, but by the time you're rereading it, you're probably going to notice it. But actually, the biggest one, and I'm not going to tell you what the error was, because I'm mad about it. I'm mad that it got through. Because I don't know how it got through, because my editor had the drafts, so I don't know, whatever. So I'm not going to tell you what the mistake was because I'm mad about it, but there was a version, because I think I don't know how many drafts Immolation went through. I want to say it was 5 or 6, maybe. But anyway, and when I say drafts, I don't mean like a certain chapter or something had like a tweak to it. I mean that there was a completely different story beat or something like that. There were a lot of scenes, and like the overall story didn't change a ton, but there were certain things that were tweaked where, like, if that was still in the book, it would be completely different in certain ways. So there were a lot of scenes that were cut out, and there were certain interactions where the context or what happened in that interaction was changed. So the interaction still happened. So, like, as an example, like X conversation between Domingo and Cyril still happened, but what they said in that conversation was different. And therefore, everything else that they said to one another and all the context of their interactions after that conversation were different. And basically, something like that happened, but this was between Bronte and Cyril. Bronte, I keep saying her name wrong. Sorry, sweetheart. You are my precious angel and my darling, and I love you, but I cannot say your name right because I'm in such a habit. Anyway, there was a interaction between Bronte and Cyril that originally I had changed because I was going to see, this is, if you ever wonder why it takes me so damn, sorry, if you ever wonder why it takes so long, pardon my language, to write, it's because every single interaction and every single thing is impacted by like 12 or something different things. So this change that I made, where there was an interaction between Bronte and Cyril that was different, the only reason it was different in a previous draft of Volume 1 is because I had cut a different piece of material because beta readers were complaining that they were getting bored of a different character and didn't want to see her again. That character was Mara, by the way. So beta readers were kind of constantly complaining that Mara was really boring and they didn't like seeing her. They were getting sick of her. So I went through in one of the drafts, this is probably about draft 3. In draft 3, I went through and I removed a bunch of the scenes with Mara. Mara, Cyril's mother. I went through and I removed a bunch of the scenes with her. And when I did that, I removed one of the scenes that had an interaction between Bronte and Cyril. And so because that interaction was gone, I now needed to have that interaction take place somewhere else. Which is what I did. I moved that interaction because that interaction still needed to happen. But I moved it to a different scene because the scene with Mara was now going to be removed. And then went through another round of beta reading and went through more edits and yada yada yada. And eventually that scene with Mara was put back in, and that interaction with Bronte and Cyril also put back in. But the mistake that got through is that the previous version of where I had removed the version with Mara and had changed an interaction between Bronte and Cyril, that technically, not the initial interaction, because I remembered to fix that, not the initial interaction, but one of the consequences of that interaction way, way, way later in the book, literally one word that completely changes the interaction stayed in, and that was missed. It's a very long and convoluted way of explaining it, but yeah, if you're wondering why it takes me so long to write things, it's because that's the sort of stuff that I'm constantly changing and making adjustments to, and it's very involved. Anyway. But it's fine, because the error was found thanks to the narrator, and it's been fixed. Oh my goodness. Because of you, I'm also saying, yeah, I also say her name's wrong. So I knew someone in high school named Bronte, and it was spelled the way that I spell Bronte's name. Even though technically, if she was going to be saying her name Bronte, she should have spelled it with an I, not an E. But because I knew someone with that name, my brain defaults to the way that I have heard the name said, because it's one of those things. It's like one of those words that you've only ever really seen written rather than spoken. And then as I'm actually going through, I'm like, oh yeah, no, technically because of the way I've written her name, it should be pronounced the other way. It should be pronounced Bronte, not Bronte. Ultimately, you could say either one. I'm sure if you were speaking to Bronte as a real person and you were like, how the hell do I say your name? She'd be like, I don't care. She'd be very forgiving. And then Cyril comes up behind you and twists your ear off and tells you to say it correctly or not at all, because that's the sort of thing he would do. What kind of word was it? I'm not going to say the specific word because I'm so mad about it. I'm so mad. But it's literally one word in a sentence that is a relic of the previous version, where a specific interaction is... Bronte and Cyril are... There's an interaction between the two of them, and it's not something that's said aloud. Like, it's not dialogue. It's not spoken by either of the two characters. I believe it's purely narration. I don't think it's internal dialogue from Cyril or Bronte. I believe that it is. I have the book right next to me. I could go look, but I'm not going to. It's a piece of narration where one word in my sentence is citing the previous version that has now been cut, so it's wrong. And I'm still so mad that that got through after all my rounds of editing and after paying my editor the amount of money that I paid her. But that's okay. It's okay. Am I going to use a different editor for Volume 2? Yes. But I'm also going to use a different editor for Volume 2 just because the editor I was working with seems to have stopped editing anyway, which is fine, for the reasons I have expounded upon in this conversation. Oh my goodness. Let's see. Now, Miss Barnabas here, she is a caster. She's a magic caster, so she isn't going to be wearing like heavy armor the way that Levi and Domingo do, because that's not her fighting style. But she stood. I can't even speak today. She should still have the look of a knight because she is technically still a knight. So I will be tweaking her armor. I say armor. Clearly she's just wearing a uniform. You can kind of tell a little bit that, let's see, like in here, you can tell kind of that this is meant to be a breastplate. It's not very clear, but it is meant to be a breastplate. Because she does the same thing that Domingo and Levi do, which is they have a breastplate underneath the armor, and the armor gets worn over top of it. But what she really should also have is, like, armor on her arms. I don't know that she would really have anything around her hips. Probably not, because she needs to be a little bit more mobile. And again, she's a lighter weight fighter. She's meant to be moving quickly and casting and not, you know, taking hits so much. But she would probably have, like, some armor around her boots and stuff, like maybe something like that. So she should have more armor on, and I'm gonna adjust that, but we will get there. That's true. She'd also be fine with someone calling her a nickname. This is true. But now I'm intrigued. Oh no, a new editor. I was pleased with her, and if I had the option to work with her again, I'm sure I'd be fine with doing so. You know, she's an editor. She's also human. She's going to make mistakes and let things slip through. That's totally fine. And working with her was very pleasant, and especially because how do I... When I write, the grammar and structure to my writing that I use is British English. But I'm an American, so my spelling is American English. So she clocked that immediately when she read my manuscript and was like, hey, what the hell? I'm like, oh, sorry. I didn't notice that I do that at all. Clearly you can tell that as a kid I was reading British English books. But because of that, as I was kind of going through the process of having Volume 1 edited, line and copy edited, and so on and so forth, she had said, she's like, hey, you're using British English grammar, but your spelling is American English. Do you want me to consolidate one way or the other? In the sense of, do you want me to take your British grammar over to English or American English, or do you want me to take your American spelling over to British spelling so that they're consistent? Or do you want the secret third option where I leave it as is and I just clean up the slight inconsistencies? And I said, that one. So hopefully whatever editor I work with for Volume 2 is going to be open to doing the same thing. You'll know if Volume 2 releases and the grammar structure is different, I guess. Because I'm not married to one or the other, per se. Let's see. Actually, no, I don't want to do it. Let's just do this. I'm not married to one or the other. But I do want to make sure that my voice, for lack of a better word, kind of stays intact, and I think the grammar is a part of that in terms of how the prose flows. I don't know. We'll see. James, hello. How are you? Good to see you. Do you look up references for your character's clothing? I wonder if you just come up with them because they're somewhat historically accurate. They are vaguely historically inspired. I did not look up any references for this particular outfit. Once I get far enough along in this sketch where I am doing her armor, for example, like again, I think you can't see her shoulders, but like she would have like some sort of armor up here, I'm not sure how far down her arm the armor will come. Obviously, she'll have the same thing over here. So this arm, this prosthetic arm that she's wearing, this does not go like all the way up to her shoulder. So let's see here. So obviously her hand, that's a prosthetic. Her elbow, that's prosthetic. And then basically up to about halfway up her bicep. And then the rest of her shoulder, this is a very crude sketch, but whatever. Like the rest of her shoulder and like basically down to her bicep, etc. That's all flesh and guts. Like, so she still has that. The prosthetic begins at about her bicep. So it doesn't, the prosthetic does not go all the way up, like all the way to like join into her shoulder. So because of that, she's still going to be wearing armor over this shoulder because it's still fleshy. It could still be damaged. It's not like it's the prosthetic. So she will have... So she will have armor over here as well. Obviously this part here. And once I do the armor, I will be looking at references, because I typically look at references for armor in general. She'll have armor probably going over her boots. I'm not sure how high up the leg it'll go. Obviously this will be the same. Probably like knee pads kind of that go over. I don't know if she's going to have a gauntlet over... Oops. I don't know if she's going to have a gauntlet over this glove. Obviously, you can tell that when I sketched it, I did not picture it with a gauntlet. I don't know. I feel like she... I don't know. I don't know if she would wear a gauntlet or not. Even your speech does sound extremely posh. Well, I don't think so, but thank you. Maybe. Oh, that was the prosthetic. Yes, this one's the prosthetic, not the glove. So, yes, prosthetic. This one's all flesh. This one's all flesh and blood. She's not right-handed or left-handed, or if she is, I haven't decided yet, and it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter which arm she casts magic with, so she can do either one. But yeah, I haven't really decided if she's going to have a gauntlet over this glove or not. If she does... If she does have a gauntlet over this, I'm probably going to get rid of this glove and put a gauntlet on that is more kind of form-fitting to the arm. So rather than the gauntlet like being something that kind of lays over this glove like so, it would probably... I'd probably just remove the glove entirely and then would add like a gauntlet that kind of like sits pretty close, to the point that like you wouldn't be able to see where her sleeve ended. Probably something more like that. I haven't really decided, but that's the general idea. But yeah, so this isn't based off of any... I mean, there are obviously some elements of it that are historically inspired in the sense that, you know, she has the sash, she has like the double-breasted, and I was gonna call it engraving. That's not the right word. Embroidery. Very much the goal with the empires, well, yeah, the empire. Styles tend to be somewhat similar, but the goal with the empire is to be a combination of this kind of fantasy military uniform and also elements of like your classic European knight vibe. That's kind of the vibe that I go for with them. It definitely, the Empire in particular, definitely leans more heavily towards military uniform. obviously, as you can tell by Barnabas here. But that's kind of the goal. So there's historical elements, but I don't reference it off of any one particular thing. Let's see. Yes, and then we're going to see a little bit more of, well, we're going to see a little bit more of the Empire too, but we're going to see a little bit more of different styled knights from different time periods in Volume 2. So I think it's relatively early in I don't know, it's relatively early in Volume 1, but there is a scene with, I believe it's Maddox and Florence, and they're kind of walking through the hunters' quarters, or like the hunters' area of the cathedral grounds. And there's a mention to the like suits of armor that are in like the barracks and so on, and they're just really on display. They're not really for use. But those are like the old armor sets that the hunters, quote unquote, used to wear. And then you'll see Levi as he's kind of milling about the church and kind of making observations as he's like out in the city. In his mind, he's referring to the like statues. Like he looks at the statue of Saint Lillian. Saint Lillian is dressed as a knight. She's just also wearing a coif and veil. In his mind, I believe the words that I have him use are like she's clearly dressed as a knight, but her armor is like a more archaic style. That will get expounded upon in Volume 2. We're going to learn more about like the history of the province in general, but also like the world in general. And kind of like how I said, the Empire has like a particular aesthetic of their uniforms are blended with like fantasy military uniforms and knights. The rest of the world kind of also is, well, comparable nations are styled in a similar way. And so you'll kind of get to learn a little bit more about how knights used to dress and the way that their armor used to be styled and how different that is from quote-unquote modern times. Even though to us this is historical, but whatever. I've been trying to find references or order pieces online for Angelique's cosplay, however, I failed right on the search bar. Oh no. Your language sounds especially proper and you won't convince me otherwise. Well, thank you. I'm flattered you think so, because I think I tend to trip over my words more often than I don't. But thank you. But yes, I don't know, if you're looking to put together a cosplay, well, I know you've already cosplayed her, which is wonderful and precious, and I love it so much. But if you're looking for pieces, I wonder if I could find anything to give you, so you could put something together and just kind of have some fun with it. Because I think it's pretty easy to end up on like the two ends of the spectrum where you have extremely historically accurate, which is really cool, and then you have extremely high fantasy. And I would say that the style that I'm aiming for falls in the middle, but more close to fantasy. But it's definitely not like the really full high fantasy vibes that you'll see on like Dungeons and Dragons character designs, where you've got like these really, really crazy cool, armor sets for like knights and stuff like that. It's not quite that far over on the spectrum to like purely fantasy. There is an element of historical accuracy, but when I say historical accuracy, I don't mean that it is accurate to X point in history, like France in like 1399. right? Like it doesn't get that specific. So there are elements of historical dress kind of sprinkled throughout, but they are not from any one particular time. They are just elements of historical dress and armor that I liked, and so therefore I used them. It's kind of the same thing with Cyril's cassock and Bronte's quote unquote dress, because her dress is not a singular dress in the way that we would think of a dress. It is two separate pieces. Well, it's actually several separate pieces, but you know, it's like a separate skirt and then she puts a bodice on over top of that, and together that comes together to look like a dress. So on and so forth. It's the same thing with Cyril. He wears like it's not a skirt technically because it's not closed in the front, but it's, you know, the bottom half of his cassock, and then is it still called a bodice if it's a guy's? Or is bodice a gendered term? See, this is what I mean when I say like, oh, I'm interested in historical fashion and things like this. I'm not interested enough to know the difference between, I don't know, would it be a, it wouldn't be a doublet. I don't know, whatever. Bodice, who cares? But yeah, it's like a separate shirt piece, and then like the separate lower piece, obviously that piece is worn over his trousers, and then the sash that the clergy wear like covers up that break between the two pieces, and it all together looks like a singular garment. So it's not a cassock in the way that a like Catholic priest or bishop's cassock is like a singular garment that they like wear. It's like it's separate pieces. But anyway, I have not designed Miss Barnabas's arm. And I don't know if I want to. Because that's going to be really difficult. Because I have to kind of sort out the logistics of that. And I am thinking of whether or not I'm going to give her any scars on her face. Because obviously she lost an arm. So she's seen combat. So she could, in theory, have some scars on her face. Also, you can tell that I've got... And this is something that's kind of a carryover from an older piece that I've drawn of Evangeline / Angelique, depending on which version of her you've read. But this part here is actually meant to be like clothing. It's kind of like a high-necked thing. I don't know if she'll keep that. I feel like she... I don't know. I'm torn. She might keep it, she might not. I don't think... I'm just thinking aloud at this point. This is a cape. It's not a coat, so it won't have like sleeves sticking out from it. It's just a cape. And I think that would be like secured to her shoulders somehow. So she isn't going to have like a strap or something going across her chest to like hold it in place. It's going to be secured somehow. Buttons or, I don't know, fantasy Velcro. I'm kidding. I'm not going to give her Velcro, but I could. I am technically the god of this universe, so I technically could give her Velcro. But I'm not going to. Let's see. Did I sketch this on a separate layer? I did. Okay, cool. I need to clean up my layers. I don't think I'll add any magic effects. It's technically be more of like that color. Because she uses Empire magic the same way that Domingo does, so it kind of goes from like... point to point, and it travels in straight lines. I don't know if I'm going to do any of that. I don't think I will. Not for this. How would they produce Velcro with magic? See, this requires a knowledge of normal Velcro that I just don't have. I don't even know how real Velcro, well, real, quote unquote. I don't know how real world Velcro is made, much less fantasy Velcro. I'm sure they could if they wanted to. There's a whole good portion of Volume 2 where we're talking about how the clergy make their clothes. And if their god told them to make Velcro, I'm sure they'd do it. But... yeah, the more I'm thinking of it, the more and more I am thinking of getting rid of this club and doing something different. She should also have... I don't know if you'd really be able to see them, but she should have epaulets, or epaulets, however you say it. And so you should be able to see those. At least a little bit. I'm looking at bodice for men because I'm curious now. Yeah, I feel like bodice is a gendered term that refers to the top portion of a woman's dress. But I could be wrong. Let's see. I'm thinking I am going to, well, I don't know. So, Barnabas is not, she's not royalty in any way. She is not, even though she's an elf, she's just the same ethnicity as, like, Philip and Serge, as Angelique, or Evangeline, depending on which version you read. So she's not royalty in any way, so she doesn't really... I don't know. She doesn't have, like, a special... There's no reason for her to have this, like, special neck thingy unless I decide to make that part of, like, a larger uniform, because... this dark kind of neck thing is something that I used for Angelique's design. I don't even know if I kept it, but I looked, I gave it to her, but she is royalty, so she would probably follow a different convention, and Barnabas would not. Because she is an elf, but she's not royalty. And elves do not live any longer than other people in this world. They're just like a category of, I guess, human is probably what you'd call them. Because I had people, which is fair, making the assumption that, like, oh, Serge and Philip, like, live longer than everybody else, right? I'm like, no, they don't. She's probably... I forget how old I made Serge. I'd have to look, because I have all the maths worked out of, like, how old characters are and who they knew at what point in time and so on and so forth. And I want to say that Serge is, like, 63-ish, give or take. That could be wrong, so don't So don't cite me on that. It's not like I know what I'm talking about. And I think Barnabas is older than Serge. Not by much. Like, she's still in her 60s, but I want to say that Serge is maybe between 63 and 65, and Barnabas is maybe between like 68 and 69, give or take. And they don't, as elves, they don't live longer than other people. There are very minor traits about the races and the ethnicities. I say very minor. Some are very major, because you'll get to meet. Well, technically, you've already met him if you've read Volume 1. You get to interact more with Tish, who is a different ethnicity, and a very specific ethnicity that has a lot of lore that we're probably not even going to get into very much in Immolation. There are certain traits that certain people have, and none of those traits are like supernaturally long lives. So there are different physical traits, and there are like certain magical traits. Like you have I don't have the terms in front of me because I don't have my big spreadsheet full of facts open in front of me just now. But for example, the ethnicity that Yosef and Shahi are, the traits for that race is that they're very big, so they're very tall, and they have a innate sensitivity to magic. So they tend to be pretty good at magic in the sense that they can pick it up pretty easily, and they can usually handle it pretty well. But again, they're quite sensitive to it, so they can also have negative reactions to magic as well. It just depends, because again, they're very sensitive to it. Oh, is this on a separate layer? Wait a minute. Where's your head, ma'am? Where did I put your head? Oh gosh. Ah, there it is. Okay. So I separated it. I don't know why I did that, but I did. Tell me all the facts about their lives. That's so entertaining. Could also be a doublet. Okay. That's what I was kind of thinking of doublet, but I wasn't sure. She'd be a wonderful professor. She is technically, I don't know what term I'm going to use. I could use the term headmistress, but I don't know if I'm going to do that. I could use the term chancellor, but I also don't know if I'm going to use that. I could use the term superintendent, but that feels really modern because that's a term that we still like very regularly use. But I don't know. But technically, yes, she is the head of a military college, which is mostly just a cushy job where she has a really fancy title based off of her experience and her tenure, and everybody else does all the actual operation. But yes. Let's see. Ma'am, your head is transparent, so I can see everything behind you. I have to fix that. Also probably move you down. Your outfits do tend to fall in a high fantasy style. They're so whimsical. I'm glad you like them. Yeah, I like including little elements of historical fashion, but they definitely are high fantasy. Things like the sash going from shoulder to waist, and the brocade and stuff like that. I like including those little things. Aha, there it is. Okay. Same with the armor, and I guess this is probably the distinguishing factor, is I like for the armor to at least look like it makes some amount of sense, in the sense of you could move in it and it would protect you. So I'm not doing like the really, really big, fancy, like high fantasy shoulder pieces. Those would be used for like ceremonial armor, but not for combat armor. Okay, and then I need to. Where did I put this? Oh, I see. Okay, hang on. That's not right. No, that's not right either. There we go. Okay. There. Now your head is no longer transparent. Love that for you. And she does have both ears. I just realized that in both of the portraits, or both of the versions I've drawn of her, where you can see her face, you can't see her other ear. She does have her other ear. She did not lose it. I guess I colored that in a different position from where my lines are, so. Reality, it should probably go somewhere between the two lines. I'm not sure what other characters I could cosplay before the summer ends. I went through a few thrift stores and they didn't have a single corset. There's clearly a shortage. Oh no. If you find I guess ultimately any, well, not any, that's a lie, but Bronte'd probably be pretty easy because she's just got a black dress and a veil, but you could technically just braid your hair. Or you could get like an oversized men's shirt, because we know that Cyril let her hold on to one of his shirts, and if you're guessing that she kept that, you're absolutely right. She definitely just stole that. Like, I'm taking this for my troubles, actually. She can hear quite well. No mischief would go unnoticed. No mischief would go unnoticed, except for her own mischief, which she will turn a blind ear to. A deaf ear to? Yeah, blind eye, deaf ear. That's how it goes. Let's see, where did I put her earrings? Ma'am, I've misplaced your earrings. Okay, seriously, where did I put them? know, that's the gold for everything else, but it didn't include your earrings. Oh, maybe because they're in, like, with your head. Ah, they are. Okay. But it's fine. She's entitled to mischief. She's injured and she's semi-retired. She's like one of those semi-retired what are they called? Advisors who they have a ton of experience, so you just kind of let them sit in the room and you pay them a lot of money to have them sit in the room and they tell you when you're being stupid. She does do more than that. She still has an active role that she fulfills at the college/observatory. No, that's more just because she's the type of person who can't sit still. She'd get bored if she was actually retired. I guess she's not smiling, so I wouldn't really have a dimple showing there. Is she the exception to the grumpy middle-aged and older gang? Yeah, she's not grumpy. I mean, she is a hard ass, and she will give you a dressing down if you've deserved it, if you've earned it. But she's not. She's not. When I say she's eccentric, she is not eccentric in the way that Shahi is. Shahi is also going to break our middle-aged grumpy person rule, because Shahi is in her 40s, maybe a little bit older than Domingo. I'm not entirely sure. She's probably about, I don't know, she's probably 47, 48. I don't think she's old. I don't think she's 50. But you know, she's very close in age to Domingo either way. Shahi is very, very eccentric. She's very playful. She's very bubbly. She has a sense of humor that is not always appropriate. And she's pretty blunt. Barnabas is not that way. Barnabas is a lot more restrained and a lot more proper. She's military, so she tends to be pretty formal. And she'll definitely give you a dressing down if you've earned it. But she's eccentric in the way that she's retired. She's just kind of chilling. She's just vibing. She takes her job seriously because her job has to do with like defense of their empire. But she's just chilling. She's hanging out. I haven't drawn them or it. I'm sure she's got more than one. She spends a lot of time tending to, not like a garden in the sense of like growing fruits and vegetables, but like she has a lot of plants, and she in particular has a fondness for, and I don't know if it would be exactly this kind of bird, because it's a fantasy novel in a fantasy world, so they would probably be called something else. But I want to call them green conure, I think is the type of bird. But here, I will just grab a picture from Google. There we go. Which, this is not how big the bird would be in scale with her. It's a little bit smaller than this. Maybe about... yeah, maybe about like that big, I think, is how big the bird would be. Like, comparing it to her hand, that's probably about how big the bird would be. They're relatively small birds. It's not like a big bird like a cockatoo or like a parrot. She might have more quote-unquote exotic birds like that. But she's semi-retired, and she likes to have her hobbies, and her hobbies are plants and birds. So she's chill. You're not going to be, depending on the context in which you meet her, she's not going to try to intimidate you or, puff her chest and all of that. So she's kind of eccentric in that way, where she's not trying to intimidate people or kind of flaunt her position or her military experience or yada yada, even though she is still in active service and she's still in a position of authority. But she's not eccentric in the way that Shahi is, because Shahi is like... Shahi's a lot. Shahi's a character. It fits her adorably well. Let's see, now I have to find the layer I was working on. There it is. Oh yeah, so Barnabas is better at being serious when she needs to, but as opposed to Shahi. Shahi can be serious, and she knows when to be serious, but as an outsider, you will, and by outsider I mean anyone who is outside of Shahi's brain, you're gonna find it hard to tell if she's being serious or not. Versus Barnabas, you can tell when she's being serious. She leaves very little room for deliberation, because she is still a military commander, and if she needs to take control of a situation, she will do so. Versus Shahi, who is like, I love confusing people for fun, and I love making people uncomfortable for fun. Yes. So I don't know exactly off the top of my head how much we're going to see of Barnabas. We're meeting a lot of characters. So we've got Barnabas, we've got Samuel, we've got Yosef. Both Yosef and Barnabas are purely Empire people. They're not like Lord Vidal. Vidal, I cannot remember how I pronounce his name, whatever. And if you don't remember, because he's literally in one scene and then he disappears because, sorry, I had to, like, yeet him. Vidal is I believe the term that I use is Lord Governor. So he's the Lord Governor of the province of Vizimund, and he lives in Windermere, because Windermere is the capital city of Vizimund. But he's not currently in Windermere at the time that, for most of Volume 1, and as we're beginning Volume 2, he's not in Windermere. He's up north. But Vidal is not purely a Empire guy. He was educated in the Empire because the Empire is like, hey, you're the next Lord Governor because it's a hereditary position, and your whole thing is you have to maintain control of the annexed province, and we're going to teach you all the skills and the leadership and blah 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 and how to do that. So he's been indoctrinated is a strong word, but he's been indoctrinated by the Empire to do what they need him to do in terms of keeping the province under control. But he was educated by the Empire, but he was born and raised in Windermere. So he's very much a local in that sense. So he has a certain connection to Windermere and to Vizimund. So you wouldn't necessarily say he's purely Empire. Domingo is also technically not purely Empire, at least not in the role that he fulfills right now. In the role that he's playing right this minute, he is supposed to be kind of an intermediary and a middle party between the Empire and Vizimund. Is he doing a good job at that? I don't know. That's up to you to decide. Probably not. But that's why Domingo wears the Windermere colors. He wears like the pine and the silver, which is their colors. Not obviously the Empire has red, white, and gold. He's not wearing Empire colors. His armor is Empire. You can kind of see underneath that he's wearing Empire colors. But that's, like I said, the breastplate and the armor is worn underneath whatever military uniform goes over it. So Domingo is Empire armor, but he's wearing Windermere colors over it. Is anybody fooled by that? No, not really. But in his station, he's not supposed to be acting purely based off of Empire wishes. He's supposed to be taking into consideration Windermere, which is the balance that is very difficult, and he's doing his best, and we love that for him. But Yosef and Barnabas are purely Empire. They do not have to pretend at all that they care about Vizimund or the popular opinion of Vizimundites, whatever the people who live there care, because they're purely Empire people. So they wear Empire colors and they do what the Empire tells them to do. And they're both up north. And yes, when I said that Vidal was up north, he is where Barnabas is currently. So you're going to see Barnabas interacting with Vidal in Volume 2. That's not what I wanted. Come back. Shahi sounds like a perfectly normal extrovert, bless their souls. Yeah. Shahi's definitely an extrovert. She kind of like bursts into the room and is like, "Hi, what's your name? What's your social security number? What's your favorite animal? Dude, what's your favorite color?" That's that's what Shahi's like. She loves not being the center of attention in the sense of she loves, wanting people to like worship her or anything like that. And not in that sense, but she likes being the center of attention in that she likes drawing attention to herself and interacting with people because of that. I think it's not a very good way of wording it, but yes. She's not prideful. Alchemists of the Empire can tend to be prideful. You're going to meet a different alchemist. You are meeting, in fact, more than one alchemist in Volume 2. But you're going to meet another alchemist who is very prideful, because it's typical of alchemists to to be considered prideful, to the point that that's like a meme or a trope among the Empire is like, alchemists, they're always so full of themselves. Um, Shahi Shahi has a reputation for being eccentric, yes, but Shahi has a reputation for she's not prideful and she's not like full of herself in that way because her spells are so well known, I guess, for lack of a better word. Um, her work speaks for itself, so she doesn't have to puff her chest because she's earned so much of her reputation just because of her work. So she doesn't need to make up for that by being prideful on top of it. She just is. Versus someone versus another alchemist who is maybe not as secure in their work. He does different work. He's different from Shahi. Shahi technically is so when someone's an alchemist, they are not just an alchemist. There are some alchemists who like that's their focus and they don't do anything else. But by definition, an alchemist is someone who has the authority and the skill and the education from the Empire to write spells for the Empire. Like that's what it means. It's that they can write spells. Shahi is capable of doing that, but before you never want to assume that you're going to be able to be an alchemist because being made an alchemist is a very, very difficult thing to do. An empire alchemist, it's a very difficult thing to do. So Shahi is trained and has some knowledge, a fair amount of knowledge. She was basically a doctor first, and not like I would trust her to do an operation on me, but she was essentially like a what's the field medic? Is that kind of the right word? She was in the military and was a surgeon, doctor, person in the military. You know, not necessarily the most qualified doctor you could get your hands on, but she was a doctor and she knows how to do some things because that was her path before she was an alchemist. Because again, becoming an alchemist is very, very difficult, and usually the best path to that is through the military. So she started there. She still has, you know, her expertise and her abilities as a doctor, but now she's also an alchemist. So that's why I'm trying to be careful with my wording here because I don't want to spoil anything. That's why when she comes to Windermere, she is interested in things like how vampirism, alleged vampirism, and addiction and all of these things, she's interested in how these things are impacting the body because she is a doctor first and then an alchemist second. And she's been an alchemist for years and years. So that's kind of why Domingo in Volume 1 is thinking he's like, Shahi would be the best suited and person that he knows. And also, even if she wasn't the best suited, she would be the one to come anyway because people are basically assigned to what alchemist they're going to work with. But anyway, but because of that, Shahi is kind of uniquely positioned to have some expertise that hopefully is going to be helpful to Domingo in the sense that she has familiarity working with patients, and she's not like a doctor that's like super specialized in any one particular thing. She's very much a general doctor who, like, if you get shot with a crossbow on the field of battle, she can probably help. She can probably help you out. But she's not super well versed on like really specific diseases and things like that. She's much more of like a general medic kind of doctor, and then she has her alchemy expertise on top of that. But anyway, that makes her a little bit different from some of the other. I say some of the other alchemists that we're going to be meeting. I'm not sure if her eyebrow is going to stay that way. I feel like I need to make that arch dramatic. I don't know. Whatever. We'll get there. Is this on the right? No, it's not. Ha. Okay, what's on this? Just this. Okay, so we can do this. Alright, let's do it this way. But yes, that makes her different from the other alchemist that we're going to meet, who... He's not a doctor. He's not a doctor. He's more of an engineer. So, you know, he can do some things, some doctor adjacent things, but he's primarily an engineer and only knows a little bit about like the human body, etc., to the point that it is relevant to his work. Because the other alchemist, if you haven't deduced it by now, and I don't think this is a spoiler, if you haven't deduced it by now, because Barnabas casts magic and is missing an arm, the alchemist who gave her her arm is the other alchemist that we're going to be meeting, and he is quite prideful. His name is Samuel. So we're going to meet more than one alchemist. We're going to meet Shahi, who's bouncing off the walls, and then we're going to meet Samuel, who is much more quiet, but he's very, very prideful. And they have two different areas of expertise. Samuel is an engineer. He helped with making Barnabas her arm. He also worked with Barnabas at the college and their observatory and blah, 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 blah. Two very different alchemists. But yes, so Barnabas gets her spells from Samuel, and Domingo gets his spells from Shahi. I don't know if I'm going to make her other ear visible through her hair. I don't think I'm going to. It bothers me that her eyebrows don't match. Not that they don't match in position, because they're meant to be. She's meant to kind of be giving you that. She's meant to kind of be giving you that look. But I don't know how I managed to do the gradient slightly differently on these, but whatever. I will just be making adjustments as we go. It's already 12:40, or well, it's 3 to 40, but whatever. 12:37. I will probably do like another 15 minutes because I have to get some work done this weekend. We'll get there when we get there. I could be really, really lazy. I know I shouldn't, but I could. Probably field or combat. Yeah, probably combat medic is maybe the best. Like, she can do like emergency surgeries and stuff, but if you have something really involved, she's gonna be like, ooh, maybe you should go to someone else. But yeah, so she has experience with mostly with wounds, so she can tend to things like wounds with like a certain degree of competency, but things that are like long-term illnesses, she's less familiar with those. She's very curious, especially about an addiction that could potentially be long term and could change like the fundamental properties of the body. So, you know, that she's itching to get her grubby little hands on that. But all right, let's see. I'll probably give her a little bit more of a smile. This sketch wasn't really done with the assumption that she would be smiling, but you know, whatever. We're going to meet so many new characters. They all sound lovelier than Cyril so far. Many, many new characters. I think we've got, well, we definitely have like a higher ratio of Empire characters, but I don't know exactly how many so far are going to be super active. Like obviously Barnabas and Yosef are probably going to be not super active because they're not in Windermere. And most of our story still does take place in Windermere. We're getting to go a little bit beyond Windermere to some of the other locations. But largely the story is still taking place in Windermere. So we're still going to spend most of our time there. Most. Yeah, most. That rings true. Oh, you're still here. What kind of crisis did you have? Is everything fine? It's mostly fine. I had my credit card stolen and had to deal with all of the fraudulent charges that came through because even though my credit card has fraud protection on it and I have a fraud limit on my card so that no transaction over a set amount, in my case $250, no transaction can go through on my credit card over $250. I have to specifically unlock my card for that transaction. Like if I'm going to make a purchase, I unlock my card, make my purchase, and then lock it again so that it can't be used for any purchases over that amount. That's a fraud protection thing. I also have general fraud protection on it, which means that if a transaction happens that is not like local to my area, or it is a vendor that I never shop with and suddenly I'm making a purchase there, then it should automatically decline it and give me a chance to review it first. Well, despite all of those protections that I have on my credit card, it was compromised somehow. I don't know. There was probably a breach somewhere. It was compromised, and someone made multiple like $700 and higher charges So first of all, that's above my fraud limit, right? So over $250, it should have denied. So automatically shouldn't have gone through, and my credit union just completely failed to do their jobs. So there was that. That was not fun. And there were multiple transactions, all at that high of a dollar amount. So again, they all should have declined. They shouldn't have been allowed to go through. And then um, it was all for a vendor that I never shop with. It was for a store that I just don't shop with. So that also should have triggered the fraud protection, and it just didn't. And I called them, and I had to yell at 7 or 8 different employees until someone finally could answer my question. Because I was saying, why the hell didn't fraud protection kick in? And they just said, whoops, looks like we didn't catch that one. Sorry. I'm like, no, 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 no. Sorry is what you say when, like, the cafe is out of your favorite flavor scone that you want to buy. Sorry is not, whoops, guess you're out several $1,000s because we didn't trigger fraud protection for you. So yeah, I'm still getting it resolved. Because some of the charges went through, some of them were blocked. So the nightmare isn't entirely over yet, but it's sort of getting there. And I'm looking for a new credit union because clearly I cannot trust the one that I have been banking with for 15 years to still protect my money. So it is what it is. I'm not the only person. I spoke with a gentleman that I know who he is in his 50s now, and he has been banking with this credit union since he was 16, which is like me. I've been banking with them. It was my very first bank account that I ever opened. And he had the same thing happen where the fraud protection just didn't work. And I'm like, yeah, the fraud protection just quote unquote not working, not an option, not acceptable. So he's moving to a different credit union, and I'm going to be doing the same, which is going to be a nightmare because moving financial institutions is a huge pain in the ass, or part of my language. So that's what I'm dealing with, but I'm still waiting for the disputes that I made for the fraudulent charges to be handled. And then once they are, I'm going to be moving to a different bank. I'll probably stay with the credit union. It doesn't need to be a bank. So yeah, and that happened like just before my birthday. So happy birthday, you've been robbed. I still don't have my money back. No, I still don't have my money back. I was able to block some of the transactions, but not all of them. So the full amount of damage that could have been done was not done, but some of it still was. So I'm still out several $100s. Her hair actually has like a straight edge to it, so this isn't super accurate, but whatever. That's so stressful. Yeah. Hopefully it'll be resolved. I don't know. I don't have a lot of faith in my financial institution to actually be, like, looking out for me. So, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I've kind of accepted that I'm probably just out for, like, $700. And at least I stopped it before it could get worse, I guess. I'm still pissed off, but, you know, it is what it is, I suppose. Yeah, they benefit, and basically what should happen is they should contact the vendor and have the vendor confirm the information that the fraudulent party, in this case, provided. So, like, this person ordered $700 worth of stuff, and they shipped it somewhere because it was an order. So all it would take is saying, hey, what address did you ship this order to? Like, what address was provided to ship this order to? And if that address doesn't match my address, which it won't, because obviously the stuff isn't going to be shipped to me, that should be enough to have them say, oh, yep, that's fraud. We can confirm that that's fraud because that doesn't actually match the account holder's address. And the account holder said that they didn't make that transaction. But I don't expect them to actually be willing to do that. I think they're just going to say, hey, did this order come through? Yes or no? And the vendor's going to say, yep. And they're going to be like, great, thanks, bye. And that's going to be it. Because that's kind of the sort of behavior that people in general do. Whether they work for a bank or not, that's just kind of general human behavior. So we'll see. It could take up to 90 days, so I'll just be waiting. Wait, no, that's not what I want. Ah, there it is. Okay. This might not stay... Well, I don't know. She is a pretty accomplished officer, so she might have really, really fancy armor, but she probably... This probably wouldn't be, like, a purely gold set. What it would probably be, actually, instead, is, like, you could have I'm using a different color because I already have drawn everything in gray, but it would probably have like a primary like metal silvery gray body, like what you're imagining for armor, and then it would have just gold trim, which is what Domingo has. Because I don't know. I haven't really sorted out. I don't think she's a higher rank than Domingo. She might be, but she's kind of she's kind of like a weird exception because she's active service, but semi-retired because of her injuries. So, I don't know. We'll see. Technically, I guess because of her position, she should, with an asterisk, outrank Domingo, but I haven't really sorted out those details yet, and I will ponder it another time. Let's put that up here then. Assuming that I'm going to give her a gauntlet of some kind that goes over. Just like her other disability. I don't think she's not trying to hide the fact that she lost an arm. I mean, she's retired because she was injured, so like everybody knows that she was injured. So she's not trying to hide the fact that she has a prosthetic arm by making her gauntlet look like, by trying to disguise the fact that she has an arm by wearing a gauntlet that makes people be like, oh, it's just like two different styles of gauntlet. But I don't know. I will think about how to design it. This is all drawn without a reference, but when I'm actually drawing armor, I prefer to use a reference. So ignore this, and we'll actually design it later. But I don't really like how that looks, but it's just to kind of give the idea. Oh, therapy is still going strong, by the way. She fooled me. Yeah, so, and it doesn't really, again, it doesn't really matter. I haven't actually, I don't think, I'm trying to remember. I have like the scene, like her introduction scene where, you know, it's the first time you as the viewer see her. I have that scene written out. I have scenes where she's interacting with Vidal and Samuel and like all those other characters. I have all that written out already. And so I know I mentioned that like she has a prosthetic arm, but like I don't know if I bother saying which arm it is. Because I don't know if it really comes up. It's like she has a prosthetic arm. That's it. She's got it. And it doesn't really matter which arm it is because it doesn't really impact her. It kind of makes sense that in combat, a nebulous someone, cut off the arm, or it could be that she completely lost the arm, like someone cut through her arm and severed it. Or it could be that her arm was so badly damaged that it had to be amputated after. Again, I didn't really dictate one or the other because it doesn't ultimately matter that much. But I guess I'll specify whichever one. And whichever arm she gets, I will just mirror this canvas to make it match whichever she actually ends up having in canon. She's not like Cyril. Cyril definitely lost his right eye. That does not change. I wouldn't say it's particularly important, but we know for a fact that that's the eye that he lost. Okay, it is 1 o'clock, so I am going to call it a day. The music choice today was fire. Oh, I'm glad you like it. I am going to call it a day, though. I have to do all of my chores and cleaning and get ready for the work week, so I'm going to head off and do that. But I hope you had fun. I hope you enjoyed meeting Barnabas. She's been very fun. Again, I don't know how much we're going to see of her in Volume 2. I don't know how involved she's going to be just yet, but you'll definitely get to meet her, and hopefully you like her, and hopefully she's fun. You get to meet lots of characters, so hopefully it's not too overwhelming. All right, but I'm going to head out. Thank you, as always, for joining. It was great to chat with you. I will be streaming again in, not next week, but 2 weeks from now. I stream every other Sunday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I hope you can make it. Remember, the ebook is free for the month of July. So if you want to get your hands on it, check out the link. It's in the posts in the YouTube community. So thank you guys very much for the support. I appreciate it. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend, and I'll see you guys next time.